My beloved child, stop scrolling for a moment, because what is unfolding around your name is not ordinary. Something is waiting for you in these words, and your spirit already knows it. You did not arrive here by accident. What you are about to hear was meant to find you at the exact second your heart needed confirmation. There was a private meeting about you, not in a place your eyes could see, but in the hidden chambers where hearts speak honestly, where souls reveal what their mouths are too afraid to say. Your soulmate was not surrounded by noise. They were surrounded by truth. And the moment your name was mentioned, the atmosphere changed. At first, they tried to stay calm. They tried to act as though hearing about you did not affect them. But heaven saw what their face could not hide. Their silence became heavy. Their eyes carried memories. Their heart moved before their lips did. And even though they tried to cover it, something inside them whispered, I still feel them. Do not skip this, because the part that matters most has not yet been revealed. Someone spoke about you in a way your soulmate did not expect. They mentioned your strength, your patience, the way you kept loving even when you were misunderstood. They spoke of the nights you carried pain quietly, the moments you smiled while breaking inside, the prayers you sent into the dark when no one answered. And as those words entered the room, your soulmate began to realize something they had been avoiding. They realized you were never ordinary. They realized your presence was not just emotional, it was spiritual. You were not simply someone who passed through their life. You were the mirror heaven placed before them, the person who awakened what they had buried, the soul that made them confront the truth they kept running from. And then came the moment that shook them. Someone said, you may not find another heart like theirs again. Those words did not land lightly. They entered like thunder wrapped in silence. Your soulmate lowered their eyes. Not because they were angry. Not because they disagreed. But because deep within them, they knew it was true. Pause here, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate has been carrying a hidden conversation inside themselves for a long time. They have replayed your words. They have remembered your kindness. They have compared your energy to every other presence around them, and nothing has felt the same. Others may have spoken beautifully. Others may have seemed easier. Others may have distracted them for a moment. But no one reached the place in their soul where you reached. That is why this private meeting mattered. It did not create new feelings. It exposed feelings that were already there. Heaven allowed your name to rise in that room because your soulmate needed to hear the truth from someone else. Sometimes a heart refuses to accept what it already knows until another voice confirms it. And when your name was spoken, the walls around their emotions began to crack. They remembered the way you cared. They remembered the way you waited. They remembered how your energy stayed with them even after distance tried to erase it. And then, quietly, they asked a question. A question they did not plan to ask. A question that revealed more than they intended. They asked, do you think they still think about me? My child, that question was not small. That question was a doorway. It showed that beneath their calm appearance, beneath their pride, beneath every excuse they have used, they still wonder if your heart has closed forever. Stay till the end, because the truth is deeper than their question. They are not just wondering about you. They are measuring the weight of what they may have lost. They are beginning to understand that your love was not weakness. Your patience was not desperation. Your silence was not emptiness. It was dignity. It was growth. It was your soul refusing to beg for a place heaven already knew you deserved. And now, something has shifted. The meeting did not end when the conversation ended. It followed them. It entered their thoughts. It sat beside them in the quiet. It touched the part of them that still remembers your voice. They walked away carrying your name like a secret flame, trying to act normal while something inside them became restless. They may not have messaged yet. They may not have confessed yet. They may still be pretending they are fine. But in the unseen, a door has opened. And heaven wants you to know this: what was said about you did not push them away. It pulled them closer to the truth. The surprising part is not that your soulmate still feels something. The surprising part is what they were told next. Because someone in that private conversation revealed something they had noticed about you, something your soulmate never fully understood before. They spoke about your transformation. They said you are not the same person they once thought they could delay, ignore, or misunderstand. They said your energy has changed. Your spirit has become stronger. Your silence has become louder. Your absence has become impossible to dismiss. And when they heard that, your soulmate became still. Because they sensed it too. They sensed that you are becoming someone they may have to approach differently. Someone they cannot reach with old patterns. Someone they cannot return to casually. Someone whose heart now carries both love and wisdom. This is why heaven is speaking with urgency. Your soulmate is standing at the edge of a realization. They are seeing that the connection between you was not broken by lack of love, but tested by timing, fear, pride, and unfinished healing. They are beginning to understand that what they felt with you was rare, and what they did with it matters. But there is one more thing. One sentence was spoken near the end of that meeting that changed the entire atmosphere again. It made your soulmate look up. It made their heart pause. It made the room feel as if heaven itself had leaned closer. Someone said, "They may already know the truth about what you never said." And now your soulmate is wondering how much your soul has felt, how much your heart has sensed, and whether the silence between you has been hiding a revelation that is about to come into the light. My beloved child, before you allow your thoughts to race ahead, remain with me a little longer, because what happened after those words were spoken is the part no one expected. The room became unusually quiet. No one rushed to fill the silence. No one interrupted the moment. Even your soulmate seemed unable to move, because sometimes the loudest answers are not spoken aloud. They are felt deep within the soul. That single sentence continued echoing in their heart. They may already know the truth about what you never said. Your soulmate looked away, not because they wished to escape the conversation, but because they suddenly found themselves standing face to face with memories they had carefully hidden. Moments they believed had disappeared returned with astonishing clarity. A smile you once shared. A conversation they never forgot. A goodbye that felt unfinished. The hope they tried to silence suddenly found its voice again. Stop for a moment. What you are hearing is not about coincidence. It is about awakening. There are seasons when heaven allows a heart to sleep. Then there are seasons when every forgotten feeling rises all at once. Your soulmate has entered such a season. They began asking themselves questions they had avoided for far too long. What if I misunderstood them? What if fear made me walk away from something precious? What if they were trying to love me while I was still learning how to receive love? Each question uncovered another layer of truth. Each answer brought them closer to understanding your value. Stay with this message, because another revelation is about to unfold. Your soulmate remembered the moments when you encouraged them without expecting anything in return. They remembered how you celebrated their victories, stood beside them during uncertainty, and believed in possibilities they could not yet see. Back then, they appreciated your kindness. Now they understand its depth. They are beginning to realize that genuine hearts are rare. Many voices may speak beautifully, but very few souls carry peace wherever they go. You carried peace without realizing it. Even when your own heart was searching for comfort, you still became comfort for others. That realization has changed the way they see you. But my child, the story does not end there. After the meeting concluded, everyone gradually left. Your soulmate remained behind for just a few extra moments. Not because anyone asked them to stay. Because their heart refused to leave. They sat quietly, staring into the distance as though hoping another answer would appear. They replayed every word that had been spoken about you. The more they reflected, the more one truth became impossible to ignore. They never truly let you go. Distance created silence. Time created questions. Life created distractions. But deep beneath all of that, your place in their heart remained untouched. Pause here. Something extraordinary is still unfolding. As they finally stood to leave, another unexpected thought entered their mind. It was simple. What if this is my opportunity? They did not fully understand why that thought appeared. They could not explain why it felt different from every other passing emotion. But heaven knew. Sometimes hope returns quietly. Sometimes courage begins with only one sentence. Sometimes restoration starts before either person realizes the journey has already begun. Do not lose heart. There have been moments when you believed nothing was changing because your eyes could not see movement. Yet while you waited, unseen work continued within hearts, circumstances, and timing. Growth often happens beneath the surface long before anyone notices the first blossom. Your soulmate is discovering this now. They are realizing that every delay has taught them something. Every silence has revealed something. Every unanswered question has prepared them for a deeper understanding. And as this understanding grows, something remarkable is beginning to replace fear. Respect. Admiration. Gratitude. Not because you became perfect, but because they finally see the beauty of who you truly are. There was once a time when they focused on what they believed was missing. Now they cannot stop thinking about everything they almost overlooked. That change is powerful. Because when perception changes, decisions often follow. My beloved child, continue walking your own path with peace. Do not measure your worth by someone else's timing. Do not pause your growth waiting for another person's certainty. Continue becoming the person I created you to be. Continue choosing kindness. Continue choosing wisdom. Continue choosing hope. The brighter your spirit becomes, the clearer the truth becomes for everyone whose path was meant to cross yours. And while you are faithfully moving forward, another conversation has already begun. This one is quieter. More personal. No audience. No distractions. Only your soulmate, and their own heart. For the first time in a long while, they are no longer asking what they feel. They are asking what they should do next. That question has opened a completely new chapter. Because the answer they are about to discover could change far more than either of you imagines. And just as they prepare to take their first real step toward that answer, something completely unexpected is about to happen, something neither of you saw coming, yet something heaven has been preparing long before either of your hearts recognized the signs. My beloved child, the moment your soulmate asked, "What should I do next?" something invisible began to shift. It was not a loud miracle. There was no flash of light or dramatic sign. Instead, it was the quiet kind of change that heaven often chooses, the kind that begins inside a heart before it is ever seen in the world. For the first time in a long while, your soulmate stopped searching for excuses and started searching for truth. They realized that every reason they had given themselves for remaining distant suddenly felt smaller than the connection they could no longer ignore. The walls they had carefully built over time no longer felt like protection. They felt like prisons. Stop scrolling if your heart is still listening, because this next part carries a message your spirit has been waiting to hear. There are moments when heaven allows two paths to separate, not to end a story, but to prepare both travelers for a wiser reunion. During the distance, you learned patience. You discovered strength you never knew you possessed. You found pieces of yourself that had been hidden beneath disappointment and uncertainty. Your soulmate has been learning as well. They have learned that running from difficult emotions does not erase them. They have learned that silence cannot replace honesty. They have learned that some connections continue to speak even when no words are exchanged. Those lessons have become impossible to ignore. As they reflected on everything that was said during that private meeting, another memory surfaced unexpectedly. It was not the biggest moment you ever shared together. It was something simple. A conversation that once seemed ordinary. A small act of kindness. A quiet smile that carried more meaning than either of you realized at the time. Strangely, it was that ordinary memory that touched them the deepest. Because genuine love is often remembered through the smallest moments. Not grand promises. Not dramatic speeches. But peaceful moments where two hearts simply felt understood. Stay with this message, because another layer is about to unfold. Your soulmate began asking themselves a different question. What if they have already moved on? That thought unsettled them. Not because they wished you sadness. But because they suddenly understood your value in a way they never had before. For the first time, they imagined a future where your kindness belonged to someone else. They imagined another person receiving the encouragement, loyalty, patience, and warmth they once took for granted. That possibility awakened something powerful. Not fear. Not jealousy. But clarity. Clarity has a remarkable way of arriving after pride grows quiet. My beloved child, while all of this has been taking place, heaven has also been watching your journey. There were nights when you wondered if your prayers had been forgotten. There were mornings when you questioned whether waiting had any purpose. There were moments when you smiled for others while quietly asking me if anyone truly understood your heart. Every one of those moments was seen. Not one tear escaped my attention. Not one hopeful prayer disappeared into silence. Even when you believed nothing was happening, your story continued to move according to a timing greater than your own understanding. Do not skip this part, because something extraordinary is drawing closer. Your soulmate is beginning to recognize the difference between temporary attraction and lasting connection. Temporary feelings fade with changing seasons. True connection quietly remains, even after distance, misunderstanding, and time attempt to erase it. That realization has humbled them. It has softened parts of their heart that once resisted vulnerability. It has shown them that real courage is not pretending to feel nothing. Real courage is admitting when someone truly matters. Yet there remains one final question they have not answered. Should they reach out? That single question has become the center of every quiet moment. Every peaceful evening. Every unexpected memory. Every silent prayer they barely know how to speak. They wonder whether you would welcome a conversation. They wonder whether too much time has passed. They wonder whether your heart has become guarded. And deep within, another whisper continues returning. What if this is my last opportunity? My beloved child, sometimes the greatest miracles begin with one small step of honesty. One conversation. One act of humility. One decision to stop allowing fear to write the ending of a story that still has chapters waiting to be lived. Heaven is never rushed. But neither does heaven waste preparation. There is purpose even in waiting. There is wisdom even in silence. And there is hope growing where neither of you can yet fully see it. Yet before your soulmate makes any decision, one more unexpected conversation is about to take place, one that will challenge everything they believed about you, about themselves, and about the future they once imagined. The words spoken in that conversation will leave them completely still, because they will discover a truth they never considered before. And when that truth is finally revealed, neither heart will be able to see the journey in the same way again. My beloved child, just when your soulmate believed they had finally gathered enough courage to move forward, another conversation unfolded, one they never expected, yet one that would quietly reshape everything they thought they knew. It happened in an ordinary moment. There was no grand announcement. No dramatic interruption. Only a peaceful exchange that seemed simple at first. But heaven often places extraordinary truth inside ordinary moments, because a prepared heart does not need loud signs to recognize what matters. As the conversation began, your name surfaced once again. Not by force. Not by coincidence. But as naturally as the sunrise follows the night. The person speaking did not tell your soulmate what to do. Instead, they shared something they had observed from a distance. They said, every time your name and theirs are mentioned together, something changes in your expression. Your soulmate smiled politely, trying to dismiss the comment. But the smile did not last. Because they knew it was true. There was no longer any point pretending that your story had become just another memory. You had become a quiet presence that continued to walk beside them, even when miles or circumstances stood between you. Pause here for a moment. Something is waiting for you, and this next revelation may touch your heart more deeply than you expect. The conversation continued. Then came another unexpected question. What is it that you miss the most? Your soulmate expected to answer quickly. Instead, silence answered first. They searched for the perfect explanation, but every carefully prepared response disappeared. Finally, they spoke softly. I miss how peaceful everything felt. Not excitement. Not drama. Not constant uncertainty. Peace. That single word surprised even them. Because deep within, they finally recognized what made your connection different. You were never just someone who made their heart race. You were someone who made their soul breathe. That realization carried a weight they could no longer ignore. Stay with this message, because heaven is revealing another layer. As the conversation drew on, they remembered something they had forgotten. They remembered the way you listened. Not simply to words, but to emotions that were never spoken aloud. You noticed when something felt different. You sensed burdens before they were confessed. You offered encouragement without needing recognition. At the time, they thought those moments were ordinary. Now they understand they were extraordinary. The world often celebrates what is loud. Heaven treasures what is genuine. And genuine hearts are never easily replaced. My beloved child, while your soulmate has been uncovering these truths, something beautiful has also been happening within you. Without realizing it, you have become stronger. Not because life became easier, but because you continued walking even when answers were delayed. You learned to trust without seeing every outcome. You learned to grow without constant reassurance. You discovered that your identity does not depend upon another person's timing. That quiet strength has become part of your spirit. And heaven smiles whenever a heart chooses growth instead of bitterness. Do not skip now. The next part changes everything. Toward the end of that conversation, your soulmate asked one final question. It was almost whispered. Do you think it's too late? The answer came gently. It's only too late if fear continues making your decisions. Those words settled deeply within them. For a long moment, no one spoke. Sometimes truth needs silence to take root. Sometimes wisdom arrives quietly enough that only the heart can hear it. Your soulmate left that conversation carrying more than advice. They carried responsibility. Responsibility to stop hiding behind uncertainty. Responsibility to stop allowing pride to delay honesty. Responsibility to become the kind of person capable of protecting something precious instead of fearing it. As they walked away, they noticed little reminders of hope all around them. A familiar melody. A peaceful breeze. A quiet memory that arrived without warning. None of these forced a decision. But together they reminded them that some connections continue speaking even when life becomes busy. My beloved child, remember this. Heaven never asks you to chase what is meant to arrive in the right season. Your calling is not to force doors open. Your calling is to continue becoming the person I created you to be. Peace will always prepare you better than panic. Faith will always carry you farther than fear. And while you continue walking forward, another remarkable moment is drawing near. Your soulmate has reached the place where reflection is no longer enough. Thoughts are becoming intentions. Intentions are becoming decisions. And decisions have a way of changing futures. Yet just before they act, something completely unexpected will be placed before them. It is not a coincidence. It is not an accident. It is one final confirmation that will cause them to pause, look upward, and realize that the story they believed was over may have been quietly unfolding all along. What they discover in that unexpected moment will challenge every assumption they have carried, and the choice they make immediately afterward will become the turning point neither of you could have imagined. My beloved child, the turning point arrived more quietly than anyone expected. Your soulmate was not searching for a sign that day. In fact, they had convinced themselves to stop overthinking, to focus on their responsibilities, and to let life move forward one step at a time. Yet heaven often chooses the moments when hearts are no longer striving, because it is then that truth can be received without resistance. As they went about an ordinary day, something familiar caught their attention. It was not your voice. It was not your face. It was not even a message. It was a simple reminder that awakened a memory they believed had faded. In an instant, they remembered how safe they felt when they allowed themselves to be completely honest with you. They remembered conversations that stretched longer than either of you planned because neither heart wanted the moment to end. They remembered laughter that carried peace instead of pressure. And then they realized something that left them completely still. They had spent so much time wondering whether you still remembered them that they had never stopped to admit how deeply they still remembered you. Pause here for a moment. What you are about to hear may become the most important part of this message. Your soulmate finally stopped asking whether the connection was real. Instead, they began asking whether they were ready to honor it. That question changed everything. Because real love is not measured by beautiful words alone. It is revealed through honesty, humility, patience, and the willingness to grow beyond old fears. Your soulmate began seeing the past through different eyes. They no longer focused only on the moments that confused them. They began noticing the moments where you quietly chose understanding over anger, where you offered grace instead of judgment, where you believed in hope when circumstances offered very little. Those memories became impossible to ignore. Stay until the end, because another revelation is unfolding. While your soulmate reflected on everything that had been spoken during the private meeting, another truth settled into their spirit. They realized they had mistaken your quiet confidence for distance. They had misunderstood your patience as certainty that you would always remain waiting. Only now did they understand that your silence was not an invitation to delay forever. It was the peaceful strength of someone learning to trust heaven more than human timing. That realization humbled them. For the first time, they understood that every day matters. Every opportunity matters. Every sincere conversation matters. Because hearts are not meant to remain locked behind fear forever. My beloved child, while all of this has been unfolding within them, I have also been strengthening you. You may not always recognize it, but your faith has been quietly growing. Where worry once lived, peace has begun taking root. Where disappointment once spoke the loudest, hope has started whispering again. Where uncertainty once controlled your thoughts, wisdom has begun leading your steps. This transformation has not happened overnight. It has been built through every prayer you offered when no immediate answer appeared. Through every choice to remain kind when bitterness seemed easier. Through every sunrise that found you still willing to believe that my timing is never without purpose. Do not skip now. The story is approaching another unexpected turn. As evening approached, your soulmate found themselves alone with their thoughts once more. They looked back on every conversation. Every memory. Every unanswered question. Then, almost without realizing it, they spoke your name aloud. Not because anyone asked them to. Not because someone reminded them. But because their heart no longer wished to remain silent. The sound of your name carried peace. It carried gratitude. It carried hope. And in that quiet moment, they made a promise to themselves. No more pretending. No more hiding behind uncertainty. No more allowing fear to decide what honesty should have spoken long ago. Whether the path ahead would be easy or challenging, they no longer wished to live with unanswered questions. They wanted truth. They wanted clarity. They wanted the opportunity to honor what had once been left unfinished. My beloved child, remember this with all your heart. You are never forgotten by heaven. Every sincere prayer has been heard. Every season has carried purpose. Every delay has been shaping something neither of you could fully understand while walking through it. Even when you believed nothing was changing, hearts were being prepared, perspectives were being transformed, and wisdom was quietly replacing confusion. But there is still one final mystery that has not yet been revealed. Before your soulmate can take the step they have now resolved to take, they are about to discover something hidden, something connected to your own journey that they never knew. It is a truth that will answer questions they have carried for far too long. A truth that will explain why your paths unfolded the way they did. And when that hidden truth is finally revealed, both of your hearts will stand at the beginning of a chapter unlike anything either of you imagined. That revelation is closer than they realize, and once it comes into the light, nothing about this story will ever feel the same again. My beloved child, as the dawn of a new day quietly arrived, your soulmate awakened with an unusual sense of peace. The questions that had once filled every corner of their mind had not completely disappeared, but something within them had changed. Confusion was slowly giving way to understanding. Fear was making room for faith. And the silence that once felt heavy now carried the quiet expectation that something meaningful was drawing near. They could not explain why. Nothing around them appeared different. The world continued moving as it always had. Yet deep within their heart, they sensed that an unseen chapter had already begun. Stop scrolling for a moment. Something is waiting for you, and this next revelation reaches deeper than appearances ever could. As they reflected on the private meeting and every conversation that followed, one realization became impossible to ignore. They had spent so much time wondering what they should say to you that they had never asked a more important question. Who have I become since we last crossed paths? That question lingered. It invited honesty instead of excuses. It asked for growth instead of regret. And as they searched their own heart, they began recognizing lessons they had learned through every season of waiting. They realized that love is not sustained by perfect timing alone. It is strengthened by humility. It is protected by truth. It is nurtured by patience. The more they reflected, the clearer your presence became, not merely as a memory, but as someone whose influence had quietly shaped their journey even during the seasons when you were apart. Stay with this message, because heaven is unveiling another hidden layer. My beloved child, there is something I want you to remember. While your soulmate has been learning these lessons, I have also been preparing you in ways you could not always see. There were moments when closed doors felt like rejection. In reality, they were preparation. There were delays that seemed endless. In reality, they were creating wisdom that could never be rushed. There were prayers that appeared unanswered. In reality, answers were already moving through places your eyes could not yet reach. Nothing has been wasted. Not your tears. Not your hope. Not your quiet acts of faith. Every experience has become part of the strength you now carry. Your soulmate is beginning to recognize that strength. They no longer remember you only through old memories. They see you through the person you have become. Someone who chooses peace over panic. Someone who carries compassion without losing wisdom. Someone who continues walking forward even when every answer has not yet arrived. That realization fills them with admiration. But it also fills them with responsibility. Because they understand that if another opportunity is placed before them, they cannot approach it with the same fears that once held them back. They must come with honesty. With maturity. With a heart willing to listen as deeply as it speaks. Pause here for a moment. What happens next is something they never anticipated. Later that day, they came across something that reminded them of a promise. Not a promise spoken between the two of you. A promise spoken quietly within their own heart long ago, a promise to never let fear become stronger than love. For a while, they had forgotten it. Now it returned with unexpected clarity. They realized that every step of this journey had been leading them back to one simple truth. Some connections are not meant to be controlled. They are meant to be honored. That truth settled deeply within them. It brought peace where anxiety once lived. It brought courage where hesitation once ruled. And as the evening sky stretched across the horizon, they lifted their eyes and whispered a quiet prayer. It was not a long prayer. It was not filled with elaborate words. It was simply this: if this connection still has a purpose, help me walk it with honesty. My beloved child, heaven always hears sincere prayers. Whether answers arrive quickly or unfold one step at a time, every genuine prayer is received with love and wisdom. But before your soulmate receives the answer they have been seeking, another unexpected piece of your story is about to come into the light. It is something they have never been told. Something that explains why your heart remains steady even during seasons of uncertainty. When they discover this hidden truth, they will finally understand that what they once mistook for distance was actually quiet faith. And the moment that understanding reaches their heart, they will find themselves standing before a decision that could shape everything that follows. That decision is closer than either of you realizes.